Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 93. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet at us. I'm at Beatty_Matt. Sean is at Sean Beatty. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe on Twitter. We are going to start with some Seattle Kraken hockey. And since we were last on the podcast, we talked about that upcoming road trip they have. And so far, it's been half and half. So they lost to Montreal at home to end the homestand 4-2 on Tuesday. Then they went to Washington. They lost 4-1 against the Capitals. But on Sunday, we had two Seattle teams facing Panther teams. The hockey one won 5-2. We'll get to the football one later. But Sean, what have you thought about the Seattle Kraken in these last couple of games? This road stand that we talked about that was very important.
I kind of started it with Montreal because just one game before they did lose to Montreal, but it's I wanted 3 points. They have 2 so far. They do play Tampa Bay and Carolina, 3-time Stanley Cup participant, 2-time winner, and Carolina, who was maybe the favorite this year to go or one of the favorites to go. So these next 2 games are going to be difficult, but right now they have shown. They've got 2 out of the 3 points I wanted, so I'm pleasantly surprised. I will say Matty Beniers is probably going to win the Calder, the Rookie of the Year, and he should. And again, you need to play him more. Like, he needs to be in the ice more often. He gets more minutes. He needs to be in it and around it, and he needs to be treated like. I saw an article that said, when is he going to be the captain? Like, basically at this point already, like.
They don't have one right now, so.
I know, like, that's what they're saying. Like, when is Matty Beniers just going to take the captain's seat? And it needs to be sooner, and he needs to just be the guy leading forwards and playing time. He's a young kid. He's 20. He's got the legs still to play the time. I don't think he needs to learn anything anymore. He's got 23 points in how many games do they officially have played right now? 20, I guess, is 26. You know how off the top of your head, Matthew? I can't remember how many they have
27.
played. 27. Yeah, okay. Well, that's another thing with hockey. Different teams play different amount of games, so you kind of guess. So he's basically getting a point a minute at 20 years old in the NHL. Put him in the captaincy and let him get more playing time, please, Hextall. That's what you have to do. Other than that, goaltending again. You give up only a couple goals, you win. You give up 4, you lose. And how far this goaltending is going to go in defense, but the real 2 tests come in Tampa and Carolina. But so far, I would say it's a win. They've already got two of the 3 points I wanted, so they just need to tie one of these 2 games, and they got it. So successful road trip.
Yeah, I was able to watch the Kraken Canadiens game. They just really didn't look very in sync that game, and their offense just couldn't get going. But they started on the road trip. Excuse me. I watched some of the Washington Capitals Kraken game. And it's disappointing that they lost, especially a team they beat at home, but that's okay. Capitals are a tough team. And sorry for those kind of not as big a hockey fans, please pay attention to what Alex Ovechkin does through the rest of his career, because he's approaching Gordie Howe for second most goals all time. And there's the great one, Wayne Gretzky's at 894, and he's got about, I think, 90 goals to get to him. So it's going to take a while for him to get there, but at the pace that he has been playing at, he could conceivably get there in the next couple of years. So that would be history that you certainly don't want to miss, because breaking a record of the great one is something that a lot of people never thought would happen. So
I have a question for you, Matthew, though.
What?
At that point, so he's going to be, to do it realistically, it's like 3 years. He'll be 40 out there. Do you because he's already declining in talent. I know it's Wayne Gretzky, but do you really want to see a shell of a player just being propped up there weekend at Bernie style to shoot from the point, or to shoot from his little slot area? Because
I don't think he's dropped off to where he's not an effective NHL player. I don't is he the same guy he once was? No, but
obviously
he's still a good NHL forward. Absolutely.
He is a solid NHL forward. I wouldn't know if he's good anymore, but he does not hurt the team. I don't know how much he helps the team. He's like the 2-WAR player in baseball. he is Will Myers. He just has a really good spot in a shot right now at this point in his career.
I mean, he got his cup in
Yeah,
2019,
yeah.
and I think he's got a couple MVPs.
I'm not even saying like not career, obviously first ballot, like he's probably the greatest goal scorer of all time.
I mean, when you saw Drew Brees break the passing record, what'd you think of that? Like that would be the same thing.
No, Drew Brees was still effective that year. It was the kind of the next year where he was just kind of a shell. Peyton Manning, same thing. Last year was kind of a shell, but the year before, they're both still good and capable. It's more of like, and those guys were competing with each other too. So they're both shells of each other competing with each other. So it's like, I mean, whatever. And so, it's not even that like the record's tainted or anything. I don't believe in that, but it's just like, do you want to see? Me and Kevin have this talk a lot of time in UFC. Do you want to see a guy like still with something leave a little bit, or just like guys who just keep fighting to say they've got X number of wins in the weight class? So the common example is Anderson Silva. He was like known as one of the greats, but then hung around for too long, and then got popped for steroids, and then gets knocked out all the time. And you're like, I wish you'd have just retired a couple of years ago. And I can remember the better guy you were. I think Ovechkin, I'm going to say it again, is the greatest goal scorer. I don't want to say player, but greatest goal scorer of all time. Gretzky even said that. Like what he does at this era, it's harder to score goals than it was for Wayne. And he's even in the fact that he's close, he's a better goal scorer than Wayne was. But like, I don't want to see him hang around for 3 years at 40 and trying to like, just to get the record. If he feels like they could compete or something, that's one thing. But like, just to get a record, I'm like, I don't want to see Ovechkin go out like that.
I don't think that will be the case. I think if his play declined enough to where he couldn't be an effective player, he would hang it up, regardless of the record. I think he has his cup. He has a couple MVPs, I'm pretty sure. I don't think he needs to prove how good he is at this point. There's no,
it's not about proving. It's just I don't want to see a shell of a guy like out there run around.
And
I don't want to see that.
If he breaks a goal record, I mean, I don't know exactly the number, but he like you said, it's gonna be a few years. Now, I think he scored 50 goals last year. So, if he does that,
like he had a crazy high shooting percent. He had a crazy high shooting percentage. I don't think 50 is realistic, but 40, you could talk me into 35, 40 a year. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's still an effective NHL player, effective player on your second or third line. So
don't look at number of goals though, because again, it's kind of like the NBA. It's how many shots do you take? How much time are you taking? How much? It is not. I could get anybody in the NBA to score 30, but it was an effective 30. Like that's what I'm asking. Like Ovechkin and the Capitals. I don't want them franchise to just be like about Ovechkin scoring the record. I want like them to still try to do stuff other than just focus on Ovechkin getting a record.
Well, I don't think that's the case. I mean, so far they've been
I listened to a couple podcasts, and that's been
into like
that's been
playoff territory.
That's been talked about the last couple of years. They're like, are they just doing this for Ovechkin at this point? That's been talked about around the NHL with other teams and things. So
I don't think if the Capitals let him go, he would play somewhere else.
I don't know either, but like that is a conversation other people in the NFL or NHL are definitely having that conversation. I don't know if it's the case, and again, I'm saying, but it is being had.
But let me loop it back to the Kraken here. Yeah. That was a tough game for them to lose, but then they did bounce back against the Panthers, and like Sean said, Matty Beniers looks great. Shane Wright got his first goal against Montreal, so that was nice to see, kind of break the ice, pun intended there. So well done there, and they've got two good tests coming up in Tampa Bay. Sorry, one MVP. I mean,
I didn't know either.
At Tampa Bay on Tuesday, at Carolina on Thursday. We'll see how good this team is, and then they'll come home on Sunday for a 2-game homestand against Winnipeg and then St. Louis. So we'll see how that goes. But overall, Kraken are still hanging around in the Pacific Division and being competitive. They're tied with the Kings at 35 points, 6 back of the leading Knights. So overall, it's in a pretty good position right now. And as long as they kind of keep up this consistency and this momentum, it looks like the playoffs are a very, very real possibility.
Sorry, Kevin, he has 3. I got it wrong. He has 3.
Kevin, have you seen any Kraken recently?
Sadly, no. I'm like I said, I always keep track of the box scores too, and just keep up with that. But no, like as we kind of wanted, just try to go as close to 500 or not better as possible. And as you guys mentioned, let the young kids play. So hopefully they continue to do that, give him more playing time because that's what your future's based on, build off of. So we'll see what the coach does.
If you're 500 the rest of the year, that's easy playoffs. Like not even a big, like it's easy playoff.
Yep.
And for those who don't have Root and would like to watch the Kraken, they do have some national games coming up. December 28th at home versus Calgary on TNT, versus Edmonton December 30th on Hulu, and then on New Year's Day they are on ESPN at home against New York Islanders. So fans have a chance.
Shane Wright first NHL goal, I think since we last.
Yeah, I mentioned that against Montreal.
Oh, okay, I missed it. Sorry.
So if you want to catch the Kraken and you do not have Root Sports and they don't have a easy subscribing service to just have Root, this is your chance to catch the Kraken. So please check out the Kraken as their season continues. Also, Morgan Geeky tweeted out if anyone has any Mario Kart questions, ask away. And he didn't respond to my question, which power or item would you remove from Mario Kart and why? It's clearly the lightning bolt because I don't feel like it's weighted very well. I feel like it's a very, very cheap way to get whoever's in last place up to like 9th or something like that. That's why I think it's my least favorite power. Kevin, do you have a least favorite Mario Kart power?
Ooh. I mean, I want to say blue shell just because it's wrecked me in Double Dash so many times.
I think blue shell.
But at the same time, it's also saved a couple of games. But yeah, I'm going to say blue shell.
I feel like Matthew, your point was apt in the lightning, but the blue shell, it does the same thing but less because it only affects one person. It doesn't like let the last place it gives it to the advantage of the last place people, but it doesn't give them the advantage. It gives the second or third place person the advantage. So it's not actually helping the person that used it. That's my gripe.
Okay,
with it.
That's fair. I like that answer. All right, well, let us know what you think of the worst Mario Kart power-up as well as the Seattle Kraken. Go ahead, tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean is at Sean Scabetti. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe on Twitter. Like our videos, subscribe to us on YouTube. Let's talk a little bit about the Seattle Mariners. And we had some, depending on your perspective, I suppose, some sad news for the Seattle Mariners. Mitch Haniger has signed a 3-year deal for $43.5 million with the San Francisco Giants. So I will be the first to say it. Thank you, Mitch. You will be missed when you come to Seattle. I'm sure there will be, maybe they'll invite you to Pike Place. You can catch a fish or something for all those good times we had. Also, I think Mitch probably has one of the most iconic hits in recent franchise history with that 2 RBI double last year to get the Mariners to win that game against the Angels. Ultimately, it didn't end up making a difference for the playoffs, but that was still a really great moment. And Mitch to battle back from his injuries of his hurt growing area. Kudos to Mitch for what he did for this franchise, and hope everything goes well in San Francisco. Sean, what did you think of Mitch?
That is a lot more money than I would have given Mitch. So I'm glad Mitch got his money. I don't want to love Mitch. I don't know if I would sign that deal. So I'm kind of glad the Mariners didn't pull the trigger on giving him $44 million for 3 years. But I'm glad he went somewhere and he went to a team I do not hate too. And thank you for leaving the AOS and not going to like the Angels or something. That would have been just hard to root for you at that point. But yeah, good for Mitch. I hope he does awesome things in San Francisco.
Kevin, what are your thoughts on Mitch?
Yeah, I mean, from the times he is healthy, other than kind of toward the end of last year, like he's a proven, I would say, good, MLB outfielder. Is he elite? I couldn't say probably that, but I mean, he's shown numbers to where like he has a good MLB ceiling. I mean, what he did in 2021 was pretty crazy with what, 40 home runs, was it? Roughly?
38 or something. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the rest of his numbers were solid too. It's just with the injury bugs that and a lot of it wasn't his fault too. Like, I mean, one going to the face and one going to the groin area, off of foul balls, or actually no, one to the face was just a straight shot to the face, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then the one just foul balling into the groin was just, bad luck. So if he can stay healthy, I mean, it's as Sean mentioned, it's a little pricey for not knowing what you're going to have. And if you
14 and a half a year for 32-year-old.
Yeah, that's a little pricey in my book, especially with a guy that does have an injury bug. I think the props were given to that, the fact that it was freak incident stuff, but with his numbers kind of slacking when he came back, it just kind of made you wonder as he got older. But it's like I said, we don't have to deal with it. So, but at the same time too, we kind of have a gap now in outfield, which is sadly probably going to be with Kelnick to start, but we won't get into that. But no, he was a great Mariner. He was very respected, good work ethic, good all around dude. So best of luck to him in San Fran.
You're on mute, Matthew.
And I wanted to ask you guys, while I was on mute, what other free agent news you caught your eye? I think the biggest one was probably, at least affecting the AL West, was Jacob deGrom going to Texas. I don't know how good that team is going to be. You guys could probably speak to that more, but that is a very good pitcher going to a rival team. Also, Justin Verlander going to the Mets and leaving the division, I thought was also significant for Mariners fans. And then Aaron Judge is not a Mariner, but that he's going to be a Yankee for however long he keeps playing.
I have a game for the three of you. Now keep in mind player position, because one's a relief pitcher. Let's see here. I lost the person already. Clayton Kershaw, Martin Perez, and I lost the two of them. Chris Bassett and Edwin Diaz, and Luis Castillo. Rank those
pitchers.
Yeah.
Can we go through the list one more time and I can write them down so I can
Edwin Diaz, Chris Bassett, Clayton Kershaw, and Chris Martin. The answer is Luis Castillo is clearly the best pitcher there.
Oh yeah. Well, it's also hard to do because with Edwin Diaz being
that's why I said that. But relief pitchers clearly are not as worth as much as a starter, obviously, because one guy pitches 200 innings, the other guy pitches at most 60. So he's 3 times more valuable at least.
I would say, in my personal order, I would do Luis Castillo 1. I'd probably put Bassett.
Don't look in this. You don't have to focus on this too much. It's kind of.
I'd put Bassett at 2. I'd put Kershaw at 3 just because of experience. I know he's been kind of struggling here, lately.
And then
I would put Perez at 4 just because he hasn't had a whole lot of time on it. So I want to see it on a more consistent basis.
I mean, he's 30. He's 32, so he's sucked. So why I might bring that up with them is because Edwin Diaz, basically 21 million. Chris Bassett, 21 million. Clayton Kershaw, 20 million. And Martin Perez, 20 million. And Luis Castillo is 21 million. Jerry Dipoto signed him for the same price as all of those guys. He's making the same money as Chris Martin for 5 years. That was awesome. I'm watching all these guys go. We're watching Taijuan Walker go. And I'm like, you signed Luis Castillo to an extension for the same amount of money. These guys, Taijuan Walker's getting 19. I'm like, you paid Luis Castillo the same money that Taijuan Walker got. Chris Bassett just signed a 3-year deal today for 0.2 less million a year. And he's older. I'm just
yep.
I got to give a round of applause to Jerry Dipoto because that is an amazing move. They're not even the same world of pitchers. And I'm like, kudos, awesome job. So that's my free agent tracker. Matthew was I saw that and I was so I saw someone tweet that out and all this money. And I went, Luis Castillo's getting 21 and a half. Holy
only
crap.
we could use that saved money to get good players.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, as in, the guys that are going now. That's what I'm saying. They've been very efficient with their money. Clayton Kershaw at 35 who's always hurt, never pitches 100 innings, is getting 1 million less than Luis Castillo. Martin Perez, whose ERA coming this season for his career was over 5, is getting 20 million. Like, holy crap. That awesome move. To your point, Matthew, Jacob deGrom, it does change some things. It is it's a move, like in the AL West, obviously. But me and Kevin talked about it while playing some Xbox or in the night. It's Jacob deGrom is the definition, like Mitch Haniger, of not getting healthy. He's the Mitch Haniger of pitching. He's maybe the best pitcher in baseball when he's healthy, but he's healthy for what, 90, 80 innings a year? What you're paying a lot of money, $37 million a year to a 35-year-old for 5 years, in the hopes that he now is healthy. If I was the Rangers fans, I'm pumped, obviously, but at a certain point, you're going to run out of money to spend. And it's just like, are we spending the money the most efficient way possible? Is one pitcher going to fix this rotation when we just gave $20 million to Martin Perez? Like, I'm just like, we're not the moves last offseason, the Corey Seager, the Marcus Semien, I'm fine with those moves, but like, you're giving a ton of money to one guy in the rotation when you really need 3 guys. One guy, Jacob deGrom, who's going to get hurt, is not going to solve your pitching problems. You need 3 bodies there. It's the stars and scrubs of the LA Angels issue. You have studs, but the studs, for some reason, ever get nicked up, you're screwed, because the guys you have coming in are Dunning. Like, who the hell is Dunning? Like, what are we doing here with this point? Sonny Gray, who you signed a year ago, who flops. Like name the 3rd starter on that team. Like, it's just like, what are we doing here? What you need depth of like capable major league guys, kind of like what we talk about an outfielder. We need a guy who's got a floor. We just need a guy who I know can get people out. They need a guy who they know can get people out at least consistently, and they don't have that. They have one guy who's a stud when he plays, but they just don't have anybody else who I trust to get guys out if I'm a Ranger fan.
Well, let me put it this way. The Mariners were not relevant for 20 years. And when you bought a ticket, you went to go see someone. You didn't go to see them win. You went to see Felix pitch, or you went to see Ichiro play, or before, you could go see Luis Castillo, but the Mariners have a team that wins. So I would imagine for Texas, like, okay, maybe you're not going to win, but you're going to have a guy who people want to pay to see however many starts he has throughout the year. So I guess if you're not going to win, that's probably how you're going to get your money.
Wins matter, though, at the end of the day, though. Like, if you don't win,
but if you can't win, then you got to find another way to supplement that. Somehow.
You have to build the stands. Yeah, you got to build a different way. Like, you're going to pay that much money. Like, Jacob deGrom, the last 3 seasons, has averaged 12 starts. Like, it's just not. That's not going to cut it. Like, it's just not. Like, and so. And he's 35 now. He's not getting younger. He's getting older, obviously. So I'm just like, he's great. He's an amazing pitcher. Maybe the best in baseball, but like at a certain point, I don't think this is the move that helps them beat the Mariners. Honestly, what they need is to trade for a Marco Gonzalez and a Chris Flexen. They need multiple guys who can get outs. Don't need to be superstars, but you need to like what often is said with the lineup, like the Teoscar Hernandez we talk about. You're lengthening the lineup. Like in the beginning, the past Mariners had like 2 guys who can hit. Now we have like 7 guys who can hit. You lengthen the lineup. The Rangers are the same on pitching. They just have like one dude who can get people out. You don't have anybody else. You don't have a bullpen. You don't have any other starters. They've got to lengthen the rotation. And instead they just we're going to pay $40 million for one dude. I'm like, he's really good, but who else do you have to get people out? When Jacob deGrom comes out, the qualifying offer. Yeah, he signed the 1-year qualifying offer for $20 million.
I couldn't remember. Sorry.
But again, the year before he had an ERA over 5. Like he just had a really good year. Yeah. They offered a qualifying offer, kind of in the hopes he'd leave, and then he stayed. He signed it. He's like, I'm not going to get any more money elsewhere, so I just signed it. And they're like, shit. Like, so I'm just like, after he comes out in 6 innings, it's just like, am I going to every 5 days as a Ranger fan be super pumped that deGrom's going to maybe go 5 innings for me? I don't know if that's like that drives the bus, man. It's not going to pay for the $1 billion they rolled out essentially for him. So, I mean, I'm glad that they make the move. Honestly, I don't think it changes the needle a ton on their side, unless minor league kids come up and is awesome. I'm more scared of the Angels, and also the Oakland A's just traded their catcher Sean Murphy for a not a great haul. They would have got the offer was, I heard that they got a better deal during the season. They turned it down, hoping they could get more in the offseason. And I don't know a ton of these minor league players, so I will defer to people I know on Twitter who I trust. And they said that obviously there's some talent. Sean Murphy's a good player, 3 years still of control, but they were offered much more during the season and turned it down, hoping they could get more. So they rolled it back and did not pay off. It sounds like so.
Kevin, any free agents?
Yeah. The ones that I mainly focused on were misses by the Mariners. Trey Turner going to the Phillies, but as we kind of you saw that Trey Turner pretty much wanted to go there.
Yeah,
we kind of alluded to in the past podcast that we're now seeing players, take less money to go to the places that they want to go.
Basically, everybody's like, I want to go there and just take less money.
And then another shortstop, Bogart's going off the market. So it's just kind of sad to see. Another one that was actually very kind of upset that we didn't. Well, I can't say we didn't throw anything at him. Was Kodai Senga.
Yeah, he went for a lot less than I thought he would.
Yeah, Mets got a good deal on him, and with the Mariners and the relationship with Japan League, you'd think that they'd be a front runner for that. To where especially since you're kind of looking for your fifth guy at the moment. I mean, yeah, you're going to have it in Hancock or Bryce Miller, but still, like it's stuff that wouldn't have cost you a whole lot of money, and he seems like he's good talent. He could pan out to be something.
Yeah, those Japanese guys, we know that the talent transition's over. There's no question anymore that they can't handle it in the majors. They can. And he's a known commodity versus Hancock, who is still a question mark. Minor leaguers are all question marks until they're not.
The only issue is like inning counts. Sometimes it takes them about a year to get accommodated for innings.
Yeah.
But
hitters are different too. So
the Mets getting him for 5 years for $75 million was a great deal.
Yeah.
So props to the Mets. And Mariners ownership needs to pull their head out of their ass and start spending money, as we've already mentioned, but unfortunately they're not going to do it. So those were the kind of the three. I mean, yeah, they're the big moves like Judge getting re-signed and stuff like that, but it was more like the missed opportunities by Mariners. Even though there are still two good shortstops I think they could go get, I don't think they're going to go get them because they're cheap. Well, the Mariners ownership is cheap. So hopefully maybe, I mean, it still sounds like they're kind of trying to put in for the Brian Reynolds thing. What you would put on that would be interesting to see.
Just sign a guy though. You don't have to trade anything. If
I
you
know,
sign a guy.
and that's what I agree. I
know.
Go out, but with Jerry getting so limited because Mariners ownership apparently doesn't want to win championships because they're stupid. Unfortunately, this is like, I feel like it's what Jerry's been dealt. So it's like,
I mean, I feel like you go after Carlos Correa hard because he clearly doesn't like the Astros. And you can tell him you're going to play the Astros, X number of times a season. You could stick it to him. You could kind of be a leader on this team. You and Julio, you're the guys.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. Like I know he's a Boris guy. You're going to have to pay a ton of money, but like, that's right there.
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to Brian Reynolds being in the other corner of the outfield.
Oh, I'm just terrified of what it's going to cost. Like that's as in prospects.
I need to look. Do we know how much control is on Brian Reynolds?
He's got 3 years.
3 years.
I mean, that's why he's going to be worth it. I mean, he is. But like, it's just gonna the problem with that is because it's 3 years, it's gonna be a ton. Yeah. Or 2 years left.
Yeah.
No, he's got 1, 2, 3. He's got 3 years left.
Now, question: I'm going to throw this to you, gentlemen. If they want Ford, Hancock, and 2 other minors that are
absolutely, not even a question. I'm scared. I don't think that gets it done. I'm scared they want.
I didn't hear the end of the question.
Oh, would you trade Brian Reynolds? You get Brian Reynolds, and in return, you give the Pirates Hancock, Henry Ford, 2 other minors, and probably a little bit of money.
Yeah, absolutely. But
my philosophy has always been proven over prospects. So yes.
Yeah, but I don't want to. The question is that they're going to want Gilbert and or Kirby, and I'm just like, those are 2 young, controllable, proven major league pitchers, and that is the commodity that I want. I would be very hesitant to trade Kirby for Brian Reynolds straight up. One is way younger and has way more control than Brian Reynolds, and so that's why I'm like. I feel like that's who they want.
If it's Hancock, I would do it.
If it's anybody that hasn't played the majors, I'm like, go for it. 4 people, take them.
Yeah,
But
if it's either Hancock or Miller, I would do it.
yeah, easy. Take him and Ford and 2 other guys. Even take Miller too. But I just don't want Kirby or Logan to go. It's a lot, Kevin, but that's 3 years of Brian Reynolds. The dude's a stud. But I just don't want to give up Kirby or Hancock or Kirby or Gilbert. Yeah.
But and I would also, if you did that too, I would have been more comfortable had they went and got Kodai.
Yeah, to
I
do
don't know if I'm
that.
saying that name right, or Senga, but
you just see they're so Kirby and Gilbert are so cheap, controllable, and they showed up in the playoffs too. Those guys showed up and were not scared. And I'm like, I want the young stud who's not scared of the Houston Astros. They both came in and pitched very well against the Astros.
I mean,
yeah.
Would I be okay with having Marco as a 5th again this year? Probably. I'd be okay with it. But like, I would rather see I'd rather see Kodai out there.
Oh, absolutely.
versus
Yeah.
Marco. But I mean,
I think right now for
giving all that up, I think it's, you give Mariners a better chance to have, I mean, having those 5 as your rotation during the season, and then you have 2 of them pretty much be your whatever you need, being Kirby and Kodai, if Kodai does pan out to be whatever the hell you want in the playoffs, like that.
I think I shocked with what these guys are making on the deal. I shop Marco and Flexen hard. Like what these guys are getting on. Marco's got 2 years left at 6.5 and 12. That's not a ton of money. And then a club option for a 3rd year, which you could approve or deny for 15. He's never going to break your bank. He's not going to kill you. You can still make a ton of moves. You got 3 years of control left for what, like 10, 12, 11 a year. Not a big deal. Still a solid pitcher. And Flexen's got another year left. Like there's got a lot of value for those 2 guys that are, again, teams need both of them. They need like 2 dudes who can round out that rotation. And I'm like, Jerry, you roll those guys out there and just figure out the 5th starter, because those 2 guys have years of control. You signed some dude off the street who you're like, I hope you're good, because you're just a stopgap until Miller, Dollar, or Hancock takes a job from you anyways. So I'm just like, those 2 guys have way more value than dude off the street. So I would shot both of them like hard right now.
All right. Well, let us know what you thought of the free agent moves. Mitch Haniger going to the San Francisco Giants. Go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Bearsco Matt. Sean's at Sean's Betty. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe.
Can we get Chris Flexen an updated picture, by the way? His picture's in New York with the Mets. Come on, man.
Update that picture.
Yeah,
all sites. All sites.
He wants to be known more for his Mariner career than his Mets career. Come on.
Also, they all take pictures before the season. You couldn't have just uploaded that one real easy.
You go to MLB, his updated picture is him playing with the Mariners, but the first picture on Google is him throwing a ball in New York, which was how many years ago?
As someone on the Tri-City Americans who had to upload those photos to the league site after we had our picture day, it should be that simple. But
yeah, 2019, his 2019, his ERA for the Mets is like 8. Come on, he wants to be known as the Mariners guy whose ERA is like 3.6. Come on.
All right. Well, subscribe to this podcast, like our videos, tell us what you think in the comments below. Let's talk about Panthers that mauled a bird, the Seahawks, 30-24. Yes, I went that graphic. Let's talk about some box score really quick here. Gino, 21 of 36, 264, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Travis Homer, 9 for 26. Marquise Goodwin, 5 for 95 and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 5 for 71 and a touchdown. And Tyler Lockett, 5 for 60 and a touchdown. On the other side, Sam Darnold, 14 to 24, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. Chuba Hubbard, 14 for 74 and a touchdown. Donta Foreman, I believe it's Deontay Foreman, 21 for 74, no touchdowns. Rasheem Blackshear, 4 for 32 and a touchdown. Laviska Shenault, 4 for 31. Sean, what did you think of the Seahawks in this one?
I'll give you the numbers. Success rate on series was 69% for the Seahawks, 77 for the Panthers.
Nice.
Which is nice. Terrible. Seahawks average per play was negative EPA. The Panthers was 0.17. Geno Smith was 0.04 EPA per play. Sam Darnold was perfectly 0. Did nothing. All the Panthers rushers were positive EPA. For people who know EPA, that's really hard to do because EPA is usually a negative play. They basically just ran down our throats, and they ran down our throats and threw no balls past the line of scrimmage and won the game. It was it was hard to watch because the Panthers just are nothing. They were just nothing. Right here. 1, 2, 3. Sam Darnold completed 3 passes past line of scrimmage all day. It was hard to watch. Geno did not play well. That was hard. But the defense obviously didn't come to play. No one's making tackles. I will say everyone talks about Tyreek Woolen, being a beast back there. Everyone understands that he makes great interceptions, but the rest of his game, consistency, elite receivers, tackling, they ran at Tyreek Woolen and he missed every tackle. It was just, there was that last series, they're like, we're going to run straight at you. And I even made the comment to her, I'm like, they're going to run at you. And the next play, they ran at him again, open field, one-on-one with Chuba Hubbard, who is not an NFL running back. And beat him.
Thank you.
Sorry. Chuba Bubba Hubbard. And he ran straight at him and beat him. I'm just like, dude, like, I know that you're this great interception guy and you're tweeting about picks. You got to make the tackle, man. Like, that's a 4th-string running back. Like, a guy, they signed a guy off the street to take his job and he's still getting touches and he just ran over you. I'm just like, it was just a mess tackling. It's always been a mess tackling. Bruce Irvin's talking about how he's pissed off in the locker room after the game. The Panthers are not good. The Panthers have the 3rd worst offense in the league and they put up 30. The Panthers didn't play well. I honestly, looking at most of the numbers until the 4th quarter, the Seahawks were the better team. The Seahawks were the better team in the first half. But when the Panthers needed it, they got it. And the Seahawks just didn't. And that's really embarrassing to led by a Hubbard and Sam Darnold team in Seattle. Go, Kevin.
Kevin, what'd you think?
Well, I'll start out with my currently pinned tweet on my profile that all I want for Christmas is for Geno Smith to learn how to throw the fucking ball out of bounds. And sorry for the F word, and for the team to fire Pete Carroll. As I mentioned last week, what does he do for this team other than nothing? He's a defensive-minded coach who literally let one of the worst offenses in the league. Your goal there, because Sam Darnold ain't gonna. Yeah, he's gonna make a completion every now and then.
Get 100 and.
I know. Oh,
did he freeze on your screen? Oh, there he is. Okay.
Yeah.
105, and he lost.
Yeah. They were clearly going to run the ball this game. And for a little bit, they were kind of stopping it. And then I think the defense just got tired and sloppy and dumb. And there's just so many missed tackles where I'm literally screaming at my team. I'm like, learn how to tackle, you virgin, or something along that line. It's so frustrating to see a guy get rewarded with a contract to 2025 when this defense has been a hot pile of dog doo-doo for 6 years. Like, I don't know what to contribute to it. Like, why is he, like, who cares that he got us a Super Bowl 10 years ago? Like, he's done nothing for us the last 6 years. Geno Smith, holy crap, throw a ball out. Like, you're not Russell Wilson, bro. I hate to tell you this. You've made some cool plays, but literally you are also costing this team because you're getting sacked because you don't know when to just throw the ball out. Throw the ball out, bro. Learn out. Like, I want half of its practice this week is to learn how to throw the ball out of bounds. Like, just do it. Like, holy crap. Offensively, Tyler and I'll say DK looks a lot better than what he's using his body a little bit more. There's still some things with DK I think he can improve on in his game, but he has gotten better with what I've seen on the tape so far, with his hands, and using his body in like 50-50 balls or to kind of block out a receiver. Can we just say that Tyler Lockett's a top 3 receiver in the league? Can we just please say that?
As of it updated, according to ESPN's metric that measures everything what a wide receiver is, he officially is number 1 best receiver in the NFL right now. As of after this week.
What else does the dude need to do? He's one of the best. He's probably the best route runner in the league.
Needs to be 6'4" and 250.
Didn't I just scream this for like 10 minutes last week?
Yeah. Just because he's 5'10", because he's like what you consider a slot guy. He's not like these big Devontae Adams like mofos. Like, He's got way more talent than the majority of the top receivers in the league, other than maybe a couple like AJ Brown can just do some crazy shit, but he's he's a physical freak.
Jefferson, AJ Brown, that's about
Jefferson,
it.
yeah.
I mean,
honestly, I think it's those three are the top three. Jefferson, AJ Brown, and Tyler Lockett, I think, are the top three in the league. Like, maybe you can put Nuke up there.
Oh, I got it right here, Kevin. According to the update, it is Tyler Lockett, Diggs, Jefferson, Brown in that order.
Oh yeah, yeah. Diggs has had a good year.
That's their.
A lot of his stuff is just like go balls, though.
But that's what they're saying. Like
he just beats his speed.
Tyler Lockett is number 1 in the league in getting open at 97, and number 1 in catch radius. At 98.
Yeah. Like Tyreek Hill and Diggs are like speed guys who are just going to beat a corner with their speed, get the ball and go. Versus like Tyler, you can tell he's learned so much from Doug Baldwin. Holy crap! Because Doug Baldwin was like the Jesus of the toe taps and doing crazy just stuff, the juking. And I mean, a lot of it is his own game too, but you can tell a lot of Doug has gone on to Tyler, and Tyler has just taken it to a whole nother level. Like, dear Lord, sorry. We got to give shout out to Tyler. I'm so glad we paid that man. Holy crap. The only thing is
when someone throws a lob up in the back of the end zone and I see Tyler, I'm like, he's going to catch it. I don't even have to see the rest of the play. I'm like, he's going to get it. His toes are going to get a bounce.
And I know he's like clapped back on people on Twitter on this about the whole like catching and falling down thing. That's like the only like thing I'd put against him is that a lot of times
I wouldn't even put that against him, honestly.
Yeah.
But even then, like
if you're gonna do this, who cares? Yeah. You're gonna
if it's a first down, I don't care.
If you're gonna catch everything that's thrown at you and you're gonna be open by like 10 yards each time, like who cares? Like he's always open. He's always open.
Props to Marquise Goodwin for being actually a better number 3 than what I thought he was going to be. I mean, is he like the best number 3 in the world? No, but he's done some crazy stuff this season. I'll give him props. For being, I thought he was going to do absolutely nothing on this team, to be honest. But he's had some plays where he's kind of come up clutch a little bit. But I mean, the where he broke like off of 2 people like who tried to tackle it, even though they were terrible tackles. But so props to Marquise. So receiver wise and offensively, I think we're okay. Other than I think the offensive line in the middle probably could be upgraded, of course. Cross and Abe are just going to learn and get better, and they've had a solid year as rookies. So defensively, other than showing a gif of like an elephant taking a giant crap, like I don't know what else you can say. The NFC, I also posted a tweet. The NFC, everybody in the NFC South is sub 500, and we've lost to them all. Yeah. So we got shut out by a division in the NFC that is all sub 500.
Yeah, I don't think we're good. I will say that, Kevin.
No, we're not.
Marquise Good. No, we're not good.
No,
Marquise Good has 370 yards on the season. I mean, he's been a nice story, but I don't think he's been great.
I'm not saying the stat wise. I'm saying he's had some clutch catches.
Yeah,
stuff.
For sure. But I mean,
most of the people are getting fed are Tyler and DK, and then we've had more tight end love, which is a good thing to see. I like to see more tight end love. It was good to see Disley get some catches in there and Parkinson. So I'm liking that we're actually involving the tight ends, which we didn't do it all the last 2 years. So good on that. So the ball is being spread out well, and your superstars are getting fed. So that's good. That's a good thing. But defensively, yeah, like it's tough. Like and Sean's probably going to go into it here in a little bit about like what we do. I even put in I'm like, with the first pick with the Broncos that we get, can we draft a new head coach? Is that possible? Like, can we do that? Is that a thing in the NFL draft? You can draft an NFL head coach. Like, it's so hard. Like
Urban Meyer's available.
I do want to upgrade.
You see, Trevor Lawrence had an awesome game again last week. Like
maybe Dion will will be pulled away from Colorado. Who knows?
Hey, I would do it just for the swag, honestly.
I mean, yes, we do need to upgrade quarterback, very much so. And I'm still like 70% on the get a quarterback with the first pick. but God, this defense is a hot pile of steaming crap.
I have a number for you about quarterback here in a second. When you're done.
Oh my Lord. Like this defense is, it really depends. Like I hope John can find the guy that he wants, and to where like we might be able to get him with the second pick in the first round and then get like a top defensive lineman. Like that's my dream. But I'd rather be safe and get the quarterback, of course. And then go get like a good solid defensive piece with the second, pick in the first round. But I will say one of the 2 first round picks needs to be on a defensive lineman. It does. It's absolutely cannot go to anything else. Like one of those picks has to it's our front 4. Honestly, we might as well just put up some teddy bears and some traffic cones. Or just get like some of the technically, sorry, that's an O-line. So we might as well get some like one of those like robo cars to just go around and you remote control it just to try to get around the O-line. You could have some RC cars out there to try to tackle the quarterbacks, slip them out or something, because honestly, they're just a hot pile of poop. So yeah, this game was not great. And it's probably a foreshadow for, and we'll get to that here in a moment, of what's going to happen on Thursday. Yeah, it's very disappointing all in all. So.
Well, this game, for me, it reminded me when I was covering high school football in 2019. There's a team in Onalaska who had their sophomores and freshmen playing when they were younger. They grew up, they were seniors, juniors, and their offense that they ran was the triple option. They threw the ball maybe 3 times a game. Now, obviously, this is high school, so it's a little bit different than the NFL, but there is something to be said about lining up. The other team knows exactly what you're going to do, and you still cannot stop it. We said before the game that the Carolina Panthers are going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're not going to try and have Sam Darnold win the game for them. They executed their game plan perfectly, and the Seahawks could not stop it. I don't agree with Sean. Like, Chuba Hubbard was a great running back at Oklahoma State. He's got juice. That's why they traded Christian McCaffrey.
No, that is not.
No.
Dante Foreman was at Texas, also a good running back there.
College.
I don't care what you did in college. That means nothing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
At best, he's
They
a
both
backup.
got it.
He's a backup.
They both been in the
Yes,
post
you guys
for a
hate
long
running
time.
backs. I get it.
No.
Okay.
They
You hate running backs. I get it.
McCaffrey and then signed a dude off the street. That's how much they trusted Hubbard, Matthew. Foreman was not on that team. They're like, we trust him, your guy, so much. We'll take a guy off the street and play and start him over him.
Sure.
That's how good he is. No. There's no sure. That's exactly
Sure.
what happened.
Sure.
What has he done
where was the
before
incorrect
this
statement?
game?
Where
What
was
has
the
he
incorrect
done
statement?
before this game, though?
They're like second and third year players. Like, what do you want from them? Like,
No,
all pro or what? Like,
I asked you the question. Where was the incorrect statement? Everything I said was correct.
I don't care. Okay.
Everything
I don't
said was
care.
correct.
Okay. So
Thank
these
you
two
for
running
saying
backs
that.
are solid running backs, regardless of what these two say. That was just great execution by the Panthers, and they ran the ball down the Seahawks' throats. Another high school team I used to cover, the Napvine Tigers, the coach always used to say, we need to work on blocking and tackling. And football, in a simple sense, is blocking and tackling. That are the 2 main things that need to be done in order for your team to be successful. And the Seahawks could not tackle. Blocking, they really couldn't block either, because the run game was non-existent and Gino was under pressure all day. I am not one to overreact to one game. This was a bad game for sure. For the Seahawks, for me, I think they have the ability to beat any team, but they also have the ability to lose to any team. I think you can say that a lot of football teams in the NFL, but the Seahawks are just very inconsistent week to week. So could they beat the rest of the teams on their schedule? I think so. Do I think they will? No. But
I have a question for Matthew after this, though.
What's up?
So let's say me and you are about to do a 40-yard dash. And we, thing hits and you start running and I start doing like twirls and spins and just start rolling and doing like this and stuff like that. And you clearly just beat me in the race. Is it a good performance by you, or is it just me being a dumbass that you won?
Well, I would have won anyways. So I
Well,
don't know what the point here is.
Of course, yes. But I'm saying, okay, say you and another person who's not fat like me are racing, and like that person just like sits on their butt and starts like doing like a dog, like just dragging their ass on the carpet while you're running. You know, like, is it a good performance by you, or was it because the other person was dumb and just performed terribly?
Well, what did I run?
It just depends.
If I
But it
ran a
doesn't
good
matter-
race,
but it doesn't matter
Probably
what-
doesn't matter what that other guy did anyway,
Well,
depending
I
on who
mean,
I'm racing.
if he tried, it just depends. But what I'm saying is,
Maybe.
it's not a good performance by the Panthers. It was just an absolute dog crap performance by the Seahawks.
I'm
Like-
not disagreeing that it was a bad performance by the Seahawks, but I'm also not going to discredit the Panthers just because of their record and what their current status is in the league. Like,
Literally
They
right
are
now,
still a
college
football
pretty good.
team that is still competing for a playoff spot, actually, even
Because
in a
of-
bad
Because of-
division. And
because of the Se- because
and
of the
we
Seahawks.
also know, as Seahawks fans, just because you have a losing record and you win the division doesn't mean you're not going to win a playoff game or do anything.
But
So to
what does that do
discredit
for
them
you on
just
the
because of
season?
their record, like that, you should never take an opponent for granted just because of their record. I feel like this should not even have to be said at this point.
But let's
It's not. Why did the Seahawks do it then, led by Pete Carroll?
They had a bad performance. Like,
Minus-
I'm
They've
not
had a number of
overreacting
bad
to one.
performances.
Yeah, they've had good performances as well.
minus
Like,
the
They beat the
beast
Chargers. That's
run.
about it.
they have a above 500 record, better than anyone thought at this point. So at this point, I am totally fine with how they have performed this season.
They have beat one good team.
Okay, I don't
That-
care.
They've not played.
They are
well.
7
just
and
have not.
6. I don't care.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
care. Like,
Okay.
like you can
Your
judge them however.
your results, your process over results led to a loss. Like, it didn't help you, Matthew. This team
I
is bad.
don't
They're
care.
going to
I
lose to
want
that
the results, and currently they have more wins than losses. Sure, they lost to all the NFC South teams. Okay, they have not strong wins. This isn't college
Currently,
football.
they're
I
out
don't
of the
care.
playoffs. So your process
And exactly.
is incorrect.
And remember when they were at 6-4, and I said, "What are the FPI percentages or whatever percentage you guys pulled?" I don't care. I wasn't confident then that this team was going to the playoffs, and I'm still not confident in that. I'm consistent in that part because just because a percentage tells me that they're likely to make playoffs, that doesn't mean anything to me. I see this
And
team
they
on the
should've
field, and
beat
you
the
guys should know
Panthers.
through process.
Don't
that they
go away
don't-
with the numbers and say this is okay.
No. You can't say that, like, the process hasn't been good, but at 6-4, you guys are all playoffs, and now let's get rid of Pete. Let's get rid of Gino. Like, no, it's one bad game. Gino, we'll see what the end of the season looks like.
More than one bad
And I
game.
do not
It's way
disagree.
more than one bad game.
Yeah, it's way more. Than
Yeah,
He's
they've
had, like,
had
a
way more
few.
than one bad
He's
game.
had a few bad games.
No,
the
not saying
majority
Gino.
of the
I'm
games.
saying this team has had way more
Well,
than one bad
yeah,
game.
I agree with that. I'm not disagreeing with that.
You are a much better team, or should be a much better team than the Panthers. You can't keep losing to teams you're better than.
Should means nothing. Should means nothing. Like,
The good
the
teams
other
win those
team is
games.
coming to play a game and win.
The good teams win those games. You want to be a good team, you got to win that game.
Okay. Like, I don't know what your point is.
I don't know what your point is. You're saying all this bullshit. Like, basically, it's all bullshit.
You're also saying it. You're like,
No.
you're flip-flopping. They were a playoff team 3 weeks ago, and now you want to get rid of Gino. You want
should've
to draft
been.
a quarterback, blah, blah, blah,
We
blah.
should have been.
Like-
All you did be was the Raiders and the Panthers and your playoff team. You're better than both of those teams. Beat them. Be better. Don't
They
be
were not
shit.
better in this game. So it
Okay,
doesn't matter
exactly.
if they're
That's
better on paper
unacceptable.
or through the numbers or whatever. You still have to play and win the game.
Exactly.
Still have
The
to
good-
play and win
The
the game.
good teams do. The good teams all do.
I
They
didn't
all
say
do all
they're
the
good.
time.
I said they're above 500. They're 7 and 6. They're
I don't care your
barely
record.
considered
I don't
good.
care. We played the Giants. They've won one game since then. Your record lies. It does. Ask the Jets. They keep losing games. The records lie.
The records are still the most important thing at the end of the day.
The process told you they're not going to win, and the Giants aren't winning. Beat the good
If
beat
the
the
Seahawks
bad
were so bad,
teams.
why did you pick the Seahawks to win?
because the Panthers are worse. They tanked. They're giving up
Then why did the
They're
Panthers
giving
win
up.
if they're worse?
because the Seahawks decided to suck. Like the Seahawks, you should be able
So
to.
you
beat them.
don't want to
We
give
told
credit
you.
to the Panthers. You just want to take credit away from the Seahawks.
You just said it. What did we say coming into the game? They had to do one thing.
Yeah,
Put
and it was a
everybody in the
bad
box.
game. Yeah.
Put everybody in the box and beat them. That's all you had to do. You could easily stop the run almost anytime you want. Do it. Put 11 guys in the box and do it. He threw 3 passes past the line of scrimmage, Matthew, all game. What are you
Okay.
playing deep for? What are you doing? That is a failure. Like Kevin said, that is a failure on coaching. They set them up to fail.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Exactly. That's the problem. They
Okay.
should have won this game. If they do the smart thing, they win the game. Don't be dumb. That's what Ken's been saying for
Now,
a
what
long
is the
time.
smart thing? Tell me exactly what they could have done to win this
Put
game.
everybody in the box. Everybody in the box and you win the game.
Take Sam
That's it.
Darnold beat you.
Period. End of story. Put 8 guys in the box, you win the game. Why don't you do it? Derrick Henry can't run through 8 guys in the box. Why is Hubbard going to run through 8 guys in the box? What are we doing?
That's what we're trying to
Why?
say is that
Why?
it's not Hubbard and the Carolina Panthers having a good game. It's the Seahawks being dumb. As we said going into this, all they had to do is stack the box, be smart, and Carolina does absolutely not. Well, most likely, absolutely does nothing. They probably would have had a couple because we suck balls at tackling, but you would have had way better results have you just stacked the box every single play. That's literally all you had to do, and literally they did not. They had cover 2 and cover 3 at points. And I was like, what are you doing? Like that so that's what we're trying to say is that it's not Carolina having. I'm not going to give credit to Carolina because they literally went up against a very poorly designed. They have a terrible front 7. You went up against a front 7 of idiots, pretty much. You can't tackle worth a damn, and their run blocking is terrible. And you're going up against a head coach who's been outdated in this league for over 7 years. They just got very, very lucky that they went up against a really dumb team that plays down, and that this team, as we mentioned, is so based off whether Gino is going to have a good day or a bad day.
Yes,
Gino had a very
that's
bad
what it
day.
is.
Gino had a super bad day.
If Gino doesn't play like a top 5 guy this entire year, this team has 3 wins. Like, it's just like, it will stop you. And this team has more talent to not have to do that. And that's what I'm asking for. Like, just don't rely just on Gino, because what if Gino doesn't play awesome? And then here's a stat right here. First 4 weeks, Gino 5th in EPA, like was in the MVP conversation. Week 5 through 14th, 18th. He's sandwiched between Derek Carr. I lost it here. I already moved my thing. He's sandwiched between Derek Carr and no. Oh, shit, I just did it. Hold on, I'll get back to it. Derek Carr and Jacoby Brissett is who he's sandwiched in the EPA. I'm just like it, you can't, and it's not fair to put it all on Gino. Like, how did we get to this situation? How did we not, like, we have the second easiest schedule up until this point in NFL behind the Raiders. Or like, we should be like some of these teams, like you said, they traded away their players. They cut Baker Mayfield. They just didn't want him anymore. He's starting for the Rams and winning a game. Like, they traded Christian McCaffrey. They signed a running back off the street. Like, they have nothing. Sam Darnold attempted 5 passes past the line of scrimmage out of his 24. And you still didn't stack the box. Just dare him. You have these corners, you have the safeties you're paying money to. Dare him to throw the ball down the field. And you refuse to do it the entire game. And then the fourth quarter, Pete, you're down 10. It's a 4th down. You have to go for it. They punted it, and then the Carolina Panthers ran straight down the field again. That is a failure of process. Like, if you just have the good process, you're probably going to win this game. But it's just like, it's.
We know there's a history of Pete being very dumb with clock management in Carolina.
Even then, though, like, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like, I'm just like, you have like Sam Darnold. I'm looking at it. I could share it if you want. His passing chart is like terrible. Like, it's awful. And it's just like they were clearly didn't trust Sam Darnold. Everybody knew it. On the first series, they ran 2 draws on 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 8, and they converted one of them. Like, they didn't trust Sam Darnold to do anything. And then when the game was on the line, they threw the ball 4 times with Sam Darnold. When analytics say you should run the ball on the goal line, like, turn around and hand it 4 times, you're going to score a touchdown. The Carolina Panthers are like, nope, we're not going to do that. And I'm just like, Carolina didn't do anything smart either. And I'm like, we still gave up 30 points and lost to the Panthers. Like, this is a game that the gimme games you kind of got to get. Then when the Raiders, you got to get these games.
To another credit, why Pete is dumb and should be fired. He's also more of like, let's run the ball, and he hasn't been able to run the ball at all over like the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, here, let me jump in here. First of all, I predict this team to be 6-11. we all knew performances like this could be possible. So the fact that it happened, and even against Carolina Panthers, like, I'm not surprised. We saw them get shut out by the 49ers earlier this year. They were
they scored 7.
Oh, sorry, they scored 7. My fault.
Yeah.
So we know how bad they can be. So
Right.
to be like completely shocked and throw in the towel, blow everything up, like I'm not like that. You guys can be like that, fine, whatever.
49ers though are a way better caliber team.
Okay, like what does it matter? You're still playing a professional football team who wants to beat you. Like, I don't deal in absolutes like you guys. Like, just because you think it's as simple as stack the box, we're gonna win. It's not. It's not that simple. The game is not that simple.
But there's a
there is a point to execute the game plan of stop the run.
Sam Darnold do it. Make him do it until he does it.
There is a point to stopping the run, and Sam didn't have to do much, but that's all he had to do. That's all he had to do. That's what he was taking with the defense.
Exactly. Sam Darnold's the worst quarterback in football. Make him beat you. Make him do it. And you said, no, we're going to let the running back do it. I'm like, make Sam Darnold throw you the football. And you refuse to do it.
There's a simplicity that teams have worse players than other teams, though.
Like when a team,
I mean, the margins are not like super great in the NFL. It's not like
there is though
here, and it's not like FBS and Division 3. This is not. They're all pros. I don't.
I get they're all pros. Is Sam Darnold going to be a pro in 3 years? Probably not. He will not probably be playing in the NFL in 3 years.
Can you say that with absolute certainty? I don't think so.
I mean, he's definitely not starting in 3 years. Is he a third stringer? Who's going to take Sam Darnold at this point, Matthew?
I don't know. Who thought Carolina was going to take him? Like,
everybody made fun of.
Who thought Matt Ryan would go to Indianapolis? Who thought Marcus Mariota would end up in Atlanta? Like,
Sam Darnold was the worst quarterback in football, and then the Panthers like, maybe we can save him, and everyone's like, you cannot save him.
Everyone says Carson Wentz is terrible, and he's like been to 3 different teams already. People trying him out.
People make fun of the teams that do that all the time, Matthew. That's stupid. How is it working? It's not working for Washington. Like that's the point. It didn't work.
And also to Matthew's point too, if that's correct, that everybody's a pro and starter, then why do they let the players go then if they're pros?
Because of money for the most part, and also not fitting, and also people wanting to leave, and also
because everybody's
working out.
Drafted is not an actual pro starter. There's a difference between being a pro and being a starter in the NFL, or being a quality backup. And some players who are drafted
that I will agree with,
don't meet those expectations. And that's what you have on teams at the moment. And there are some teams that have less of those and more starters and quality backups, like the 49ers, versus a team that has more players that are going to be out of the league in 3 years, like Carolina Panthers. That is the difference in quality. And there is a high margin in the NFL of that. There are teams like the Kansas City Chiefs who have players that are probably going to be there or going to be in the league as starters or quality backups within the next 4 years, versus teams like everybody.
How many guys of the Texans are going to be in the NFL in 3 years?
Now, is that a result of them losing games, or is that a result of them not being good?
Not being good.
A and B, probably.
Both.
I would say A and B, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because if you're not good, if you don't have talent, you're not going to win games.
Exactly. So look, whatever. You guys have your opinions. I don't agree with them. It's whatever. So, in terms of Geno, obviously he needs to play better. Overall this year, he's been pretty solid. So, a few bad games here and there. Like, we knew what we were getting with Geno going into the season with his resume. So,
no, we didn't. I mean, this has been much better than I thought.
Yeah.
Like, this has been like
everybody thought it was a shit show. I mean, the whole thing I put in the Twitter chat of that TikTok where everybody's like, "Oh, Geno's going to suck. Why move on?" And then people.
No, this has been light years better than I ever would have hoped for Geno.
Exactly, but we know he can be this. We know from history that he can be this.
I mean, he might be,
and he might just be this. So
he might just be bad. Yeah.
Yeah. So to Geno's credit, he's played great this year, but we know he can be bad. We know that these performances can happen, and we saw the Seahawks defense earlier in the year be absolutely awful. So we know that was possible too. So
they've been awful all year, basically.
I mean, like the whole how this was so surprising. I'm not entirely surprised. I still believe they should have won the game, absolutely. But you lost. Now pick up the pieces and let's move on to San Francisco.
It's more that just the Panthers are such a bad team. Like, it's just, they're just bad. And I'm like, look, even the bad Seahawks team, we kind of thought coming into this year that the Seahawks would be better than the Panthers, I thought they'd be better than the Panthers and the Giants coming this year regardless. And then the Falcons, because those three teams are tanking. They're not trying to win. So like, how could you not beat a tanking team?
Because the Seahawks have more players in that category of are going to be either starters or quality backups in the NFL than those teams.
I mean, yeah, like
maybe.
No, they do. Like,
They do.
Who's like great for the Panthers?
I mean, I think DJ Moore has a pretty good future.
We haven't seen it yet.
Has a pretty good future. I think Frankie Louvu, the linebacker.
There is one correct answer. There's one person. You forgot their best player on their entire team.
There's another linebacker. There's a cornerback, JC Horn.
It's Brian Burns, like the guy who's going to get 2 first round
there we
picks.
go. There's
Yeah.
Brian Burns. Yeah,
that's the guy.
The
That's the guy
linebacker,
who's like it.
Yeah.
Dip linebacker, and kind of like a Von Miller type thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the upcoming game of the San Francisco 49ers at the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday, 5:15 p.m. Prime Video. I'm sure you probably have Prime Video if you're watching this, but let's talk about what we think is going to happen in this game. Kevin, I'm going to throw it to you first.
Murder. Lots of murder. Doesn't matter. I honestly, you could put my fat ass in the quarterback for the 49ers, and the Niners are still gonna poop all over this team. Because guess what? They're gonna do the exact. They literally just saw what happened, and they have better versions of that at every position. So guess what? It's gonna be a poop show. They're gonna run the ball on us like crazy, and they're gonna do it better than Chuba Booba Bubble Double Wubble. And they have a way better defense. So you thought that Geno struggled with that hot poop of a defense? They're now going against a top 5 defense in the league. Like, I mean, the first time around with a better quarterback, we only scored 7 points on them. Like, we could get shut out. And I'm not going. And we actually had somewhat of a running game then. We have no running game now. So honestly, you have to go all in and just hope that Geno has a good day. Stop with this whole, like, I was seeing like where they were trying to like give a snap here or there to Travis Homer in the second half. Stop it. Knock it off. Your running game is just absolutely gone. Just admit it. You failed at it. Wait until Walker comes back or Penny, one of the two. And then just, I mean, you can still do some crazy, like screens or something like that to kind of try to shuffle it up every now and then. But I literally, when I saw it in the third quarter, I was like, what are we doing? Why are we wasting downs? And then we went 3 and out on those downs. I was like, because we wasted a down on a run play because he wants to see if it will still work. Oh, that's cute, Pete. That's real fucking cute. It's not going to work. Like, clearly. Your run game sucks. Your run blocking with the O-line sucks because your 3 interior guys suck. Your rookies on the outside still need to learn on how to run block. That's one thing that it's going to be very key in this offseason. So you were pretty much banking on guys that could get, stuff after the tackle, after being hit, or could find that miracle open seam, which you now don't have. So just pass the ball. You have 3 really good tight ends, and you have 2 really good, technically 2.5. I would count Marquise Goodwin, like I said, to be he's a solid enough 3 to be your speed guy to go do some crazy shit downfield. But you have Tyler and DK are going ham right now, so why not put the ball in your 2 best playmakers' hands while you have 3 solid tight ends? Just do it. Like, have those 2 with 3 tight ends, just go ham. Just let them have it. So defensively,
just constantly 5 receiver sets. So if you backfield,
why not? Like, seriously, and just change up routes.
Predictable, but
okay. You're telegraphing what you're doing, though.
I mean, if we're gonna run the ball, like, are we gonna get anything? We had one good run with Travis Homer.
What if they just drop everybody and like rush 4? They're gonna get home. And you're inviting it though. Now you need to have the semblance against this team who could pass rush. You need to have a semblance of.
I mean, you're gonna have some hidden schemes where like a tight end stays back and blocks, and then like the running back comes out. or something like that, you can mix it up. I think Shane Waldron is smart enough to do stuff like that. But you need to have, this needs to be 90% plus passing. And I don't even want to see more than 10 running back snaps in this game. No, like it's just not going to happen, especially against that. We couldn't do it against a bottom 10 defense. Now you're going against a top 5 defense that's very good at stopping the run. Like, why waste those downs? Tell me, why waste those downs? So we could say, oh, we ran the ball. Like Sean's been perpetuating this with the Chiefs for forever. Like, why do that when you have Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball down the field and slinging it? Why waste it down by being like, well, we got to keep them on their toes. We're in NFL 2022, boys and girls. Like, we don't need to do that. You can be successful by passing the rock 40 times a game. Like, you can do it. Like, that's your best shot being this crappy team until either Penny or Walker come back. Like, why would you do it against now a better defense with only 3 days to prepare? I would love to hear a good excuse as to why we would do it. But honestly, my predictions are we're going to get murdered. It's going to be probably a little less points by San Fran just because of them having no real throwing options. And also, I don't know what Debo, I don't think Debo's going to play.
Oh, no.
No, he's out until the playoffs at least.
Oh, okay.
He said he might make the regular season game. He said he might make a regular season game
But
today.
I mean,
Why?
They don't have the playoff spot locked up yet. So, I mean, in theory.
To be honest, it doesn't matter because they still have Kittle and Asante Samuel. So,
and
they're going to run the ball.
not Asante Samuel. Brandon
Christian
Ayuk.
McCaffrey or Brandon
Ayuk.
Christian
Sorry,
McCaffrey and Ayuk.
my bad.
Yeah.
Ayuk, I can't.
Yeah, actually,
defense,
you make a point, Matthew. The 49ers rest of the schedule is just a joke. So they play nobody rest of the year.
So I'm gonna say 20-0, 49ers.
Sean, what do you think?
Oh, man, Kevin's real sad. I thought I was gonna look at this and be like, man, like, because it's Brock Purdy. They're gonna be playing the third string guy.
They're gonna run the ball off.
No, he threw it, unfortunately. Like, he actually threw downfield more than Sam Darnold. They let him throw.
Okay, good.
Well, I have a stat for you. Did you know that Brock Purdy in this game threw more outside touchdowns over more than 10 yards than Jimmy Garoppolo has in 3 years for the 49ers?
Who did they play, Sean?
They played the Buccaneers.
Yeah, who have a top 5 run defense.
Yeah, and they threw it really well.
That's where they got. But now you're going against a defense that is last in league in running defense.
I mean, but like, that's the saying. If you could throw it, that's always better than if you can run it. It doesn't matter if you can throw it. Like,
I mean, if you're running it for 15 yards of play versus throwing it for 5 yards of play, why?
Why? Well, did they run it for 15 yards of play
against the Buccaneers? No, because they have that's what I'm saying. You now are seeing that the Seahawks defense is literally a bunch of traffic cones.
I'll say this: Brock Purdy
is to throw it with Brock Purdy for 5 yards of play versus you can run it for.
They did not throw for 5 yards of play with Brock Purdy. They slung it.
Different defense though is what I'm saying.
But I mean, are the Seahawks passing defense any good? No. So just pass it then. Like, they can't get any pressure, the Seahawks. So
honestly, you could probably just do whatever against this team.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, my only hope
you could do a flea flicker every play and you're still
Brock Purdy is like, I'm like, well, it's a third stringer. What's going to do? But he's slung it, and they let him slung it. And my only hope is, like, maybe, I mean, he was so good in this game with all these numbers last week that I'm just hoping he has like a Mike White situation and just crashes back to earth in week 2, maybe. But like, because if that's the only chance. If Brock Purdy crashes down to earth, that's our only chance. If he has like a Mike White or a Trubisky like 3-pick game, that's our only chance. Because Debo does hurt them. Obviously, not having Debo in he is a playmaker. It sucks. It's just, man. I still don't see how. I just don't see how the Seahawks put up enough points against this defense. I don't think it's going to be as quite, because the injuries are going to start catching up to the 49ers. they're just losing bodies left and right, and it's just going to matter at a certain point. As in catch up, as in like they're not going to win by 30. Like,
No.
I mean, they beat us full health last time by 20, and they're hurt. So I say they win by 10. I was gonna say the same score, wasn't I? Didn't we just lose 30 to 20?
30-24.
I'd say 30 to 20 this game.
Yeah, I do think the Seahawks will respond, and they really need to win this game. I don't think it's going to matter though. As I said last week, Purdy's going to take it to him. With how good the roster is around Purdy and with the depth they have, it doesn't matter who plays quarterback. It doesn't matter. Just don't hurt the team.
The roster
You're going to win, and you're going to win the game. They didn't put him in difficult situations. They just asked him to do enough to win the game, and that's exactly what he did against the
Did you see
Tampa Bay
that?
Buccaneers.
Did you see that first half, the second quarter? They asked him to score a touchdown, and he did it. And he took a shot and threw a bomb to Ayuk. Like, they asked him to do a lot, and he did it. Like, it was nice. That's what scared me. I was like, oh shit! Did they just find their next Brady? Like,
it doesn't matter who plays quarterback for that team. So
it does. You Sam Darnold cannot do that.
It does not.
It absolutely does. That is absolutely factually incorrect.
So my prediction is 28-14 San Francisco. Let's go down the rest of the NFC West. Arizona is at Denver. I would just like to say, hopefully Russell Wilson is fine. That was a tough hit to watch, that injury he had against Kansas City. Hate to see that and see him like that welt on his head. Like, don't like seeing guys get hurt. So hopefully Russ is okay. Kyler tore his ACL. So, I mean, I'm just going to rely on the Denver defense and give the win to Denver on this one. Sean, what do you think?
Yeah, Arizona's like the second worst team in football, even with Kyler Murray. So it's going to be Denver. That's it. Like I told Matthew last week, they had no shot at beating the Panthers, even if Kyler played. Yeah. Process over results.
Kevin?
Is Russell going to play, though?
I don't think it matters.
Who's the backup?
Ripken.
Brett Rippon.
Ripken, yeah.
Versus Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy versus that defense.
Yeah.
Colt McCoy got absolutely.
I don't think it's gonna be by a lot. I'll say Denver by like.
It's gonna be gross. It's gonna be like 10-9.
It's gonna be like 6. It's gonna be that Seahawks Browns game from a couple of years ago. Charlie Whiter 6-3 is what
I was gonna say Denver by like 4.
7-3. Each get one score.
Defensive touchdown. It'll probably be like 14-10.
Yeah. Each get a defensive touchdown. I agree.
And then we've got the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Green Bay Packers on Monday night. Baker had an amazing debut to come back and beat the Raiders. I don't see that happening here. Green Bay coming off the bye at home. I'm taking the Packers. Sean?
What is it, the Monday Night Football? Rodgers might not play.
Oh, that's right. He got hurt.
No, he just said if they were still in it, I'll play, but they might be out of it by Monday, so officially. So it might be Jordan Love. Man, in Green Bay, yeah, the Rams don't have anybody healthy still. They just shut everything down, so it's going to be Green Bay by default.
Kevin?
Yeah, I would say Green Bay by. If it's with Aaron Rodgers, I would say Green Bay probably by like 10-14. If it's Jordan Love, I'll say Green Bay by 4.
Yeah, the Rams are a backup team.
Yep.
All right. Well, let us know what you thought of the Seahawks Panthers, what you think of the Thursday night matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. Go ahead and tweet us. I am Pedro Matt. Sean is Sean Scorbady. Kev is at SEA2Believe. That's C2Believe on Twitter. Like our video, subscribe to us on YouTube. Tell us what you think in the comments below. We might be back next week. It's TBD at that point, but we should be back for the end of the year. And with that, we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports.